friends. Hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Hello. Hi, so today's video, first of all, candle of the day. Candle of the day is cotton candy from Yankee Candle. I got to go to the outlet mall. Like, I'm fully vaccinated now, so I went to a mall for the first time in, I don't even remember the last time I actually went inside like a store, and I got to actually sniff the candles through my mask, but I got to smell candles, and I bought a couple of Yankee candles. So this one is cotton candy. I'm very excited because it smells yummy. But today, hi, I feel like I haven't filmed in a minute. Hi, so today's video, we are going to be going over and talking about makeup that I just don't use. And I did a video like this, I think it was like a year and a half ago at this point, where I did a full face of makeup I don't use, but today I thought it'd be fun to just go through and talk about makeup I don't use and kind of why that is. I would say a lot of it is because they're not the best products, but I'd also say another aspect of it is that sometimes I bought things that I just, like, in hindsight would never use. Like, knowing myself, there's no reason I would buy that and use it. So I think it's good to do this and like look back at stuff just so you can maybe in the future curb buying things on impulse just because they're sparkly, which is what I do. You can stop doing that and maybe focus more on buying things that you're actually going to get use out of. I feel like the very first thing I should talk about, and the first thing that is like when I think of makeup I bought that was stupid that I bought it, like the whole thing about that, I would have to say is the Anastasia Shimmer Body Oil. This. Okay, first of all, I hate oils. And I knew that about myself when I bought this forever ago. I knew that I hate face oils, I hate body oils, I hate shimmer oils. I don't like the way that oil feels on the skin. It doesn't feel good on my skin. It feels sticky and slimy, and I'm like not a fan of it. And I knew that when I bought this. However, I walked in and I saw the bottle and it was sparkly goo, and I said, maybe I'll use that for like a music festival. I didn't. Spoiler alert, she didn't use this at a music festival. I literally, I think I did actually one day when I was there, and I hated it. I hate how it made me feel. I hate how sticky it was. I really just got duped because it looks so pretty. Like, you can't tell me this doesn't look beautiful. And it does look beautiful in my drawer, but it certainly doesn't look beautiful all over my body because I never freaking wear it. And honestly, even when I do, even the times I have worn it, because I've worn it a couple times, even the times that I have, I really just look so sweaty. And like, for whatever reason, for me, these types of products just don't work. And I need to stop trying to tell myself that they will because they're sparkly. Hannah, listen, stop it. If you guys see another one of these freaking body oils in a haul anytime soon, I need everybody to publicly shame me because I should not buy any more body oils. They're such a waste of money for me. Next, I want to talk about a product that I bought because of the hype. So I follow a bunch of YouTubers who swear by the Smashbox primerizer. Everybody, I think this is discontinued now. I don't even think you can buy this anymore, but there was a time where every YouTuber I was watching swore that this was life-changing. And honestly, for them, it might have been. I think that this is a really good example of how face products, especially like base products, sometimes they're amazing and they just change people's lives, and other times they ruin lives. And that's how I feel about this. No, it didn't ruin my life. It's not like the worst primer I've ever tried. It just did nothing. And you can see, I don't know if you can see how much I've used it, but I've used probably like 25% of the bottle at this point. So I've tried using this. Like, I've given it a real effort. It has this very sort of like milky, watery texture, which you can see it's like moving down my hand. Like, it's very watery, which I think maybe that is what and it's also slimy. I forgot how slimy it was, which is maybe what I didn't like about it was how water-based it was. But I also just think it didn't change my skin in the slightest. It didn't give me any sort of smoothing base. It didn't even particularly hydrate me. I will say it does have a little bit of tackiness to it, so maybe that's what draws people to it, is that it's a little tackier, so it makes your makeup last longer. But for me, I don't typically use primer for that. Like, my makeup doesn't really have an issue with separating or being weird. Sometimes it does, but for the most part, well, if I use the right foundation, it doesn't. My makeup doesn't really have that problem. The problem I have with my makeup is I need my skin to look better. So I think that maybe this just served like a different purpose than I wanted it to. No, I think it was just not very good for me. Because even I'm looking at my skin now, there's just no difference. Like it's not more moisturized. It just feels slightly stickier. And it says it's moisturizing, so I have no idea. But I was definitely not a fan of this, and I just never ever reached for it because of it. But I spent so much money on it that I like want to try to get my use out of it, which is why I think I keep it and try to use it. However, I think I'm gonna probably pass this on to one of my friends, because I know I have a lot of friends who would love just like a random primer thrown their way. So just chuck it at them. I think I am going to probably pass this along now. I think it's time, but yeah, this does not. It's just slightly sticky. I don't understand why people raved about this, but next is somewhat of a makeup classic. Like I feel like I saw so many people rave about this for so long, especially when I first got into makeup. Well, I'll just tell you what it is. It's the MAC Studio Fluid Fix Foundation. First of all, the shade is definitely a little too dark for me, especially right now. I bought this in the summertime, so it was a little bit tanner, but even when I'm at my tannest, this shade is definitely a little too warm, I think. But this is the shade NW15. So it's a little bit more of like a medium tone, and I'm definitely a little bit more light. So for that reason, I don't really wear it because it's just not really the right shade for me. However, there was a time when if you were on YouTube, you would like explain your skin type based on your MAC foundation shade color. This foundation, like everybody always raved about the MAC foundation. And when I finally bought it, I think this is an example of a foundation that's not bad. Like it doesn't fall off your face. It doesn't do anything weird. Like it worked okay, but I think that was the problem, was that I just had such high expectations and high hopes for it, and was really just like excited about the potential of the thought of having it, because so many people told me how good it was, and it was such a staple in like makeup artist kits, and it was just supposed to be this amazing thing. And then it was just okay. I would never be like, meh, horrible, but I would never be like, oh my god, you have to have it. Like it was just meh. This is one that I really only keep for filming at this point, because even though it is a little too dark for me, once you're under these lights, sometimes it's better to go a little bit darker because you sort of get washed out on camera. That's why I go really heavy on bronzer when I'm filming and stuff. Also doesn't look bad in pictures and under, you know, all the lights and stuff. It's just that in person, it's so underwhelming because it's not good enough to be like, oh my god, it's skin-like, but it's not bad enough where it's like peeling off your face. I don't know. I think that's why I just don't reach for this. It kind of gets lost in the sea of my foundations where it's like one is really good and one is really bad, you know? Just sits right in the middle. This is a recent purchase, and I should not have bought these. I got really sucked into the hype and excitement, and I was a clown. Basically, I was a fool. And I ordered from, I believe it's called Beauty Creations, their Dare to Be Bright color base primers. I got all of them. This is not all of them. I have more in my drawer, but this is all I can hold. So I have all of these bright primer bases, okay? And I bought the whole set. To my credit, they were selling a PR box where you could also buy like a liner, and I think it was a gel liner and a liquid liner as well. And I skipped that and I only bought the bases, which I'm proud of because that set was crazy cheap for how much makeup you got. It was like $100, but you got all the colors and all 3 products, and it was in this beautiful PR box. So I felt like that was a really good deal, but I got the set of all the bases for $50 instead. And here's the thing. I should not have done this. I got excited because I had just been talking about in a video how I wish somebody other than P. Louise would come out with these sort of color bases. Like, I think that's a great idea, whatever. So I just talked about it, and then everybody was tagging me in TikToks of people using these. And so I got excited and I bought every color. I don't need every color. I honestly don't even really need these at all. And I realized that when I tried to use one, and I hated how it looked. I don't even really use eye primer that much to begin with. I do occasionally, like I'll use an eye primer, or sometimes I'll use a sort of base to do a cut crease on or whatever. But for the most part, I don't even use eye primer to begin with, and I certainly don't do enough bright eyeshadow looks to justify the amount of bright eyeshadow bases that I own. I think I thought that it would like inspire me, but I've had these for a couple weeks now and I've only used it once, and I ended up hating the look so much that I didn't film a video in the look because it looked so bad. I think these are definitely more for people who do very creative makeup, and I just think that over time I have learned that it's just not me. I will occasionally dabble in the creative side, but for the most part, I don't do the looks enough to justify purchases like this. And the reality is, there's like a tan shade and like a pretty pink shade. And like, I just should have bought two. Like, I just should have bought these, and I probably would have gotten a decent amount of use out of these. But as far as all of the other colors of the frickin' rainbow, I am just never going to utilize these enough to justify the $50 that I spent on them. So I think that I should have just taken a second and not got sucked into that hype of like, oh my God, it's everything I wanted, because it's not. I really just wanted these. I think I got so sucked in because it felt like a really good deal. That is still to this day the one thing that will always get me with anything, shopping in general, like consumerism in general, is if I feel like it's a very, very good deal, I can't pass it up. And I'm getting better, but I sometimes still slip up, and it's like I'll buy something because I think it's a good deal, and then immediately I'm like, regret. I have a bunch of friends in makeup who I know would like want that and utilize those, and I might keep a couple for myself, but there was really no reason for me to buy that entire collection. I think if honestly, unless you're like, if you want those and you're not like a person who does those looks all the time, but you're just interested in trying them because they are a really good price point, I would say if you have other friends and you can like split up the colors just to make it more worth it. I feel like I broke my own rule with that purchase, and that nobody needs that amount of just sheer quantity of the same thing all in one purchase. Like, unless you're doing those makeup looks a lot, you don't need all of that. So that was a regret. Okay, this is another one where I really just got excited because I saw it and I thought it looked really pretty. And that is from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Superstar Glow Highlighter. This is, I feel a little ashamed. Oh God, I broke it. Did I break it? Hold on. I definitely bruised it. However, she did not break. This one I feel a little stupid explaining why I did this. And I do feel like we need to have a little bubble, you and I, all however many thousand of you. I think we need to have a little agreement between us that you guys aren't going to judge me for what I'm about to say, okay? Well, pinky. Okay, I bought this because it had the same packaging as the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer, and I love that bronzer so much, so I made a correlation that because it had the same packaging, like similar, it's gold and this is silver, but similar, that it must be similar quality and the same amount of quality as the bronzer, so I'm going to love it. It's not. Certainly is not the same level of quality. It's not that this is even a horrible highlighter. I don't hate this, and it's definitely drier than I would like, and it definitely doesn't have as much sort of shine and gleam. And like, for example, this is from Catrice. Mind you, I think this was like $50. This was like $3. They're a very similar tone. This is much softer and just so much more, like, look at that compared to that. It's so much more reflective and shiny and beautiful and just great in general that I think it's that for the price, this is just not worth it. And I mean, the packaging is gorgeous and all that, but I don't care about that because I never use this. And also I think there's something to be said. I was really excited too because it had like a big pan, and I love when products have big pans. It's like one of my favorite things. I love it so much. I think it's great when you have room to dip your brush into, all of that stuff. However, with this product, because normally highlighters don't come this big, kind of weird to store because it looks awkward and feels weird with the other highlighters because it's so gargantuan in comparison, which unlike the bronzer, where bronzers are always huge pans, so it kind of fits in. This is definitely a weird sort of thing to store, just like for practicality purposes. And also just formula wise, disappointing for the cash. And so for that reason, I really just never use it. Like, I'm never gonna reach for it because it's like just a very expensive, large thing that has a very subpar formula. Let's do the other highlighter really quick. And this one, I'm sad that I don't use this, but I truly, if I'm being honest with myself, I know I don't, and I know why, and that is the Fenty Beauty highlighter in What a Brat. I bought this for my birthday, and it was a birthday gift to myself. I believe last year I bought it, and to be perfectly honest, it's beautiful on. Like, it really is this gorgeous, like, there's nothing wrong with the formula of this product. It's a beautiful sort of frosty pink glow. The way that it looks in the pan is how it looks on your skin. Like, it's this baby pink frosty, it's this one right here, baby pink frosty glow. I actually enjoy it a lot. However, I never reach for this, and again, I think it's just about being honest with myself. I don't reach for colorful highlighters basically ever, especially not ones that are this sort of icy almost, because if you look at it, it has this sort of white pearl under sparkle to it, which it does in the pan too. Like, it's not like they lied to me. I just like didn't really think about it, where they have this sort of icier tone to it. And these icier colorful highlighters, just icy highlighters in general, do not look good on me. They don't work well for my skin tone. Same thing with like holographic highlighters. They just don't work for me. And so unfortunately for me, when I bought this, I was just thinking like, oh my God, pink. I love highlighters, like perfect. But in reality, this is not something that ever really gets used or that I reach for. The only time I've worn it recently that I can remember is I did this all sort of like monochromatic pink look. And with that, it actually did, I think I have a picture from that. Maybe I'll pop it up. With that, it actually did look really pretty. I liked how it looked because I had a ton of blush on and I had all this blush and like all this pink eyeshadow, and this on top of that looked really cute, but it just doesn't, I don't use it enough to justify the price that I paid for it. And I kind of wish that I had like taken a second and been like, Hannah, you just got rid of all of your like glow kits that had colorful highlighters in them because you never use it, but you still are gonna have this. I don't know. It was definitely just kind of an impulse purchase, and I didn't really think about the sort of undertones to everything. That's something I'm trying to be a lot more mindful of now, especially buying like highlighters and bronzers and things like that. It's just being way more mindful of the undertones and how they perform on my skin, because I've noticed more and more that if something has a warmer undertone, I'm just so, or like a goldeny undertone, I am just so much more intrigued and want to try it versus something that has like an icier toned undertone. So, boop. Okay, next, I think that this one kind of tells a story. So this is the Milani Baked Highlighter. I don't even know if they still make this. It's in the shade Glow. It's this really beautiful glowy bronzer. And there was a time when this was my go-to like favorite summer bronzer. It was just my absolute fave. I loved it. I loved reaching for it. I used it all the time, even though the packaging was a little annoying because it does that thing where it flips up. Still, like, I loved this product so much. And I think I've talked about it in videos. I think I'd had this when I very first started my YouTube channel. Like, I've had this for a very long time and I really did love it. I think this is a story of how like over time you kind of just like find your new faves. Like over time, I just found a new favorite summertime bronzer. I just found other bronzers that had a similar effect with this sort of bright, you know, sheen to them. I found other ones that I just liked more. And so I stopped reaching for this and started reaching for the newer things. There's nothing wrong with this. Like, it's a perfectly fine bronzer. And I think I keep it because I remember that sort of nostalgia of like when I used to use it all the time. But the reality is this just isn't something I reach for anymore because I have newer things that I like better. I also will say I'm very proud of the use I got out of this, because it used to be like a full-on dome and I worked it down to where it's almost completely flat with the pan. I definitely got a lot of use out of this one, which was, it's a good feeling when you like feel like you've used your makeup. And also it's so beat up. This thing like pops out all the time. Like, I definitely used and abused this one, but I think it's time to maybe retire her. So I'm just not reaching for it the same way that I used to. Next we have this cream blush from Merit, and this was something that I wanted to try. This is in the shade Terracotta. This is something I wanted to try because I just saw it on the Sephora page and I'd like never really heard of the brand, never really heard of the product, hadn't heard good things, bad things one way or the other, and I kind of love products like that. I feel like because makeup content is so prevalent on YouTube, it's very rare that I find things that I haven't heard anything about, and I'd heard nothing about this. So I was super excited, and honestly, the reason I don't use this is really just a practical reason, and that is that I've said this before, I want my makeup to be easy. Makeup is like my therapy. Like, makeup is my time where I can sit down and I don't have anxiety and I just like, it's almost like, it's literally like meditation for me. Like, makeup is meditation for me. I just am calm. It's my hour a day. I think of nothing. Like, I love it. And so when I bought this, I was hoping that this would add to the sort of ease and calm that comes with putting on makeup. And the reality is, I don't think that this is a horrible product, but it takes so long to build up that it is ridiculous. I am always very like careful with cream blushes because I don't want to like overdo it, because sometimes you'll dip one brush in and then all of a sudden you have this sort of like really, really bright cheeks, and I don't always want that. So I try to be very careful when I use things to not overdo it. This just takes so long and so much effort and time to build up onto your cheeks to like show anything, and it sucks because it's a gorgeous color. Like, it is, I'll do it without kind of blending it out for you so you can see. It's such a unique beautiful, like almost like rosewood. I don't know if that's a real color, but rosewood is what I think of when I see this. Like, it's such a beautiful, unique shade, and it actually looks so gorgeous on the cheeks. Like, I love it. However, it is such a pain to put on that it's like not even worth it. Like, I'll rub my brush on it, or sometimes I'll even try to dab it on to actually fully like just do something, and it does not work. Like, even now I'll rub this in and you can see it rubs away into nothing. Nothing. There's like a faint, no, literally nothing. Literally nothing. It blends into nothing, and it's so frustrating because when you finally can build it up after like all of this time, then it's amazing, but it takes so long to do that, and it's just such a sad, painful thing. It makes me sad. I had such high hopes for this little blush, but it just is not worth the effort, frankly. I am very much the person, I just want everything to work and be easy. I don't know if that's too much to ask, but that's just how I feel. Finally, I would like to talk about a palette that I think will be slightly controversial. So let's get ready for the hate comment. No, I talked about this palette in a video. I think it was I was roasting like magazine articles who put out, you know, things about makeup, and I was talking about the NikkieTutorials palette, and I was like, it's weird that this is so good. It's this palette because I hated the shimmers. Like, the shimmers in mine were awful. And it was one of two things. People in the comments either agreed and they were like, oh my God, I'm so happy somebody else said it. Like, I also think they're terrible. Or it was people being like, you're absolutely the stupidest person I've ever met. They're beautiful. And no, so most people were very kind. I'm exaggerating. But so this is the palette. And the reason I never reach for this is because the shimmers are horrible. They are flaky and awful. And honestly, I will concede and like agree with people that this could be an inconsistency issue, or I could have just gotten a bum one. But I'm very hesitant to say that it's just like, oh, a one-off, because I have a friend who I know who hated this palette for the shimmers as well. I have a couple of friends that I actually know of who hated it for the shimmers. They're just very, very dry for me, and also very chunky. Like, I'll put it on and sort of pack it onto the eyes. I use my fingers usually because that's how I usually do shimmers, but I've tried this with a brush too and had a similar result. And I noticed that throughout the day I just had like chunks of glitter falling off my eyes. And what sucks about it is that I actually love the shimmers, especially when they're freshly applied. They do look pretty. They're definitely a little bit more texture emphasizing than I would personally like, but they look pretty, like they're usable, you know? But then throughout the day, they just chunk off and fly off. And the other thing that sucks about that is the mattes on this are actually really good. Like, I enjoy the mattes, and I also really love the color story in general. I think that it's really pretty and honestly just great, but I can't stand the shimmers on that palette. And I find it interesting. I kind of wanted to bring it up again because I wanted to know if you own this palette. Like, do you love the shimmers? Is it your favorite part? Or do you also not really like them and have a problem with them? Because I'm very curious to see if I did just get a one-off, if like maybe some of them, like I just got a bum palette, or if it really was like an inconsistency issue across the board. I'm very interested to see. Not that that would be, I'm not trying to like, okay, I don't want to see... I'm not trying to like blame Nikki or like start a controversy. I'm just genuinely curious, like, was there a consistency issue or like what? Because that seems so weird to me that so many of you were like, no, 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 the shimmers are the best. And I was like, are we using the same shimmers? Like, I went back and like swatched it and was playing around with it and putting it on my eyes. And I was like, yep, still don't like it. The only one I even kind of liked was this one, Roxy Catan. That one was decent. Like, I was like, okay, this is pretty and it swatches nicely, and it was definitely a little bit softer, but all of the other ones are so scratchy and rough for me. So I'm really curious to know what you guys think about these ones. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me. That is makeup I literally never use, and I'm really interested to know your thoughts on all these products, and also makeup that you never use. Maybe help me from buying stuff in the future. And let me know makeup that you just never reach for, that you like, maybe you knew, but also maybe you didn't. And yeah, I love you guys so much. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My merch, my social media, and everything I am wearing on my face will be linked down below, along with my vlog channel and my podcast channel, and links and information about Sexual Assault Awareness Month that is happening right now. Stay informed, stay involved. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!
What?